Hey everybody, it's Thursday. Bitcoin's making a little bit of recovery, but nothing too hectic. So this is a time where we analyze a lot of data. And as you know, if you know this channel, I'm very big on understanding exactly where you fit in the world. I'm also very big on planning and goal setting, and not just to track and to set a goal as to how to be successful, but understand where you stand and where you can aim to be. For example, if you want to be in the top 10% of Bitcoin holders, the top 5%, top 1%, top 0.5%, having a clear goal in investing is critical. And having that goal in sight and making it your mission to achieve it is also critical. By the way, we're also doing a poll here, which I'll read the results at the end. So hit the poll if you're in the live chat, and we'll see exactly where the community stands. And it always surprised me. Sometimes I got some really big players in here. So let's jump in. Shout out to everybody as well on Patreon and the mods in the chat here, TND Tessa and Sean Donnelly and everybody else. This is from Cree L. Says, all the other YouTubers I followed had pretty crappy Patreon presence, but this one has real depth. Yes. And about 5 to 10 posts a day. I love doing that. Anyway, it's the most important thing. Thank you all for being here. Also, this is just a fun little tweet from Nayib I thought I'd share is while everybody is selling Bitcoin or freaking out, Bitcoin is stacking. It's a cute picture of how a chimpanzee is actually grabbing all the fruit that they can, even with his feet. It's adorable to check out Nayib. And no video would be good without a price prediction you guys always want. I thought it would be good to share this. Vivek posted today. And these are the Ark Invest Bitcoin targets. Yes, the range is kind of large. We've got the 2030 bear target at 258.5. We got the, what was the second one? Hang on a second. The base case, which is the expected case, 682.800. I think 800 is about reasonable. And the bull case, $1.48 million. Now, I ran some numbers, and if you calculate the expected value of these three different scenarios, you get $807,000 by 2030. But what's also crazy is 2030, people think it's 10 years away. It's 5 years, 4 months away. That's one cycle plus a year and change to go. So that's not a long time. So we'll see exactly how this pans out. It'll be fun to watch. Also, shout out, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the data, shout out to Nayib Bukele and Joe the Hun. Thank you for coming. Did I miss anybody else? No. But Nayib Bukele, his support for Bitcoin and his appearance on Time magazine cover is significant because it highlights his, not only his courage, but his pioneering role and bold economic experiment as in pivoting El Salvador to Bitcoin standard, and his ability to maintain domestic popularity despite international criticism and the IMF criticism, etc., and his efforts to reshape El Salvador's global image has been nothing but completely stunning. Politicians around the world need to look up to this man. Not only is he very, very intelligent, but also very courageous. Having both courage and intelligence in today's world is very rare. Very rare. So watch this space. Okay, let's get into the Bitcoin news. The fun fact. This is interesting. And what makes it very interesting is the Satoshi, people forget, is the smallest unit of any currency in the world. And to put it into perspective, if Bitcoin were to reach a value of $1 million per coin, each single Satoshi would be worth 1 US cent. That is 1/100th of a dollar. This means that Bitcoin is in a position to facilitate micropayments on a scale that is currently not possible with traditional fiat currencies. And this has potential implications for various industries, such as content creators receiving tiny payments for their work all around the world, or machines in the internet doing IoT stuff with microtransactions. So again, it's a special creation. Even Larry Fink today said on TV, I was wrong, but this is transformational. Let's get into our cohorts. Don't forget there's a poll above. Thank you to the team behind me. And just as a reminder, I added the new Krill cohort that is 0 to 0. That should be 0.01 No, hang on. Yeah, 0 to 0.1 of a Bitcoin. And shrimp is 0.1 to 1, crab 1 to 10, octopus 10 to 100. And also octopus sometimes includes fish. So some people refer to fish as being 50 to 100, but I just have octopus. Easier. Dolphin 100 to 1,000, shark 1,000 to 10,000, whale 10,000 to 100,000, and the humpback whales are those guys with over 100,000 Bitcoin. We're going to break it all down and calculate exactly how all these cohorts have moved and changed over the last 5 years. Let's jump in. There's going to be a lot of numbers here, but again, it'll help us understand what the whales are doing, what the sharks are doing, who's moving money around, who's stacking, who's not, and how much is Bitcoin being adopted. This is why it's so important to watch. So first of all, let's break this down. It's a bit of an eye chart, but I'll go through it a little bit slow and try to walk you through. So from the very left of the chart is January 2020. To the very right, that light blue is August 2024, and all the changes in between. Now, if you look at Krill, the smallest holders, that's the number of Bitcoin held by Krill, steadily increased from about 194,000 Bitcoin to 326,000 just in those 5 years. So Krill are adopting more, and this is a cohort that shouldn't be underestimated. Shrimp, similar to Krill, shrimp have also grown Bitcoin holdings from 652,000 all the way up to 1.1 million. Crabs, the crab cohort, has seen a big growth in Bitcoin holdings from 1.66 million to 2.14 million. So you're seeing all the smaller cohorts are stacking like mad. Octopus fish, slight growth, 4.4 million to 4.36 million, like just slightly down over the last 5 years, but showing growth in different phases of the cycles. We'll get more into cycles later. Dolphins, the dolphin cohort shows a stable trend with holdings fluctuating, big, but then going up as of late, especially since the actual bear. The shark, keep a close eye on. Will I cover dolphins? I think shark. The shark cohort experienced fluctuations. Initial rise from 4.79 million in January to 5.46 in January 2021, but then decreased to 4.77 million just recently. And also whales. Whales have been stable, relatively stable, going from 2.35 million to 2.34 million. So basically no change. Good to see. You don't want to see them dumping on you. And the humpback whales, again, this is hard to watch because it includes maybe very large positions from places like Sailor, etc. But for the humpback whales, they show significant fluctuations with a notable dip in January 2021 to 141,000, and then recovering to 702,000. Remember, a whale as well can split their wallet, split their bags, etc. And there's some that have just been there for a long time. Let's try and analyze the evolution visually another way. And here, quick summary is krill, shrimp, crab have consistently grown over time. A lot of retail investors are in these cohorts. Octopus, fish, and dolphin cohorts show stability with some growth indicating steady accumulation. Shark and whale have remained relatively stable with fluctuations around bear markets. And humpback, again, shows significant fluctuations reflecting large-scale buying and selling behavior or maybe just splitting wallets. Now, another view of this too is the total Bitcoin holding evolution by cohort. And here, as I mentioned before, the krill, shrimp, and crab have been stacking their bags. If you look at the colors and the times, the biggest fluctuations are the first three. They've all grown. Octopus, fish, flat. Dolphin, grown. Shark, it grew a lot, then sold off, but still higher than it was 5 years ago. Whales, flat. Humpback whales, growing. And that's all you need to know. Now, what's really interesting for me is to calculate the average holding per cohort, the average bag size, you could call it too. And this is interesting. So there are some little changes here. So humpback whales, for example, held 163,000 back, 5 years ago. And right now, their average bag size is 276,000. So their bag size has grown a lot. That's a big change. Also, if we look at whales themselves, let me try pop this up. These numbers are a little too small for my little eyes. I'm going to try make sure I get it right. Whales themselves, you can see here, they had on average, hold on a second. Well, the light blue color here, you can see it has been very, very consistent all the way across with their average bag size of about 22,000 to 24,000. It's a little bit higher right now. They're currently holding on average 24,000 Bitcoin per whale. Also, if we go to sharks in January 2020, they held about 2,383 Bitcoin. August 2024, they hold 2,409. But these guys play around. The holding of sharks is stable, but it increases during periods of bear and bull markets. So we'll show you exactly how that breaks out in a second. Dolphins, January 2020, 253.9 Bitcoin, and now 285.6. So the dolphins have grown. That's a notable increase. Octopus fish, January 2020, 32.3 Bitcoin. Now it's 31.7. So it's actually gone down ever so slightly. And the crabs used to, 5 years ago, hold 2.6 Bitcoin. Now the average is 2.5 Bitcoin. It's gone down a fraction, but there are more crabs fighting over the meat, as they do on the bottom of the ocean. And shrimp, January 2020, held 0.32 Bitcoin. And in August 2024, 0.309 Bitcoin. So if you're a shrimp, you want to be above that 0.309 level to be in the majority. And not much of a change, but it is meaningful. Remember, the price of Bitcoin has gone up a lot over the last 5 years. And then the krill, they have gone from 0.007 to 0.00673. But remember, the price of Bitcoin has gone up, like I've mentioned before. So that's kind of the skinny there as to where you would stand if you fit in those boxes, what the average holder in those boxes is. So if you have pull up another example to understand exactly where this works. If you are a crab, for example, crab, reminder, is typically between 1 and 10 Bitcoin. The average crab holder today holds exactly 2.5 Bitcoin, and it used to be 2.6, so it hasn't changed a lot. And typically, when you have a cohort between, say, 10 and 100, the majority will be somewhere between 26 and 30 in that cohort. So it's the bottom quarter, bottom third percentile. Now let's look at the cohort share of Bitcoin. How much of the Bitcoin supply is held by these cohorts? This is fascinating. So shark and whale cohorts, the top 1%, command an astonishing 40% of the total Bitcoin supply. Dolphin and fish, another 42.4%. And that's higher than 40% earlier this year. So dolphin and fish have stacked more, maybe partly due to the ETFs. And the combination of these two is 82%. That is only, what's crazy here is 82% of the supply is held by 2,080 holders out of 52 million holders. So this will also change radically, I do believe, with the ETFs over time. As they stack more and as people hold Bitcoin in an ETF, it's going to be harder to decipher exactly where this is. Now let's look at the other evolution chart. This is the delta chart I put together to show you the changes from each period over the last 5 years. And you can see here, active accumulation, significant positive delta for sharks between January 2023 and September 2023. And that indicates this cohort. By the way, the sharks are that kind of teal color, the one at the very bottom that dipped. We'll explain why they dipped in a minute, because these are contrarians. They make decisions around particular times of the Bitcoin season. We'll show you that more clearly in a second. Maybe the sharks here have adopted that contrarian strategy, accumulating more Bitcoin when other cohorts were cautious or disengaging or selling. So if you look at the red shrimp and how they have changed from stacking to unstacking to stacking again, it shows you that the retail investor typically is late to the party, whereas the sharks front run the party. Let me explain. what I mean here. So I basically wrapped a bear market box around the changes. Look what happens. Look what happens to the crabs and the shrimp. They sell off. They dump during the bear. They can't take the pain. But guess who stacks during the bear? They are the whales and the sharks. Big time. And then, as of April, the sharks were the only cohort to unload. So why are they unloading? Maybe the sharks are part of a group that are taking some lifestyle chips off the table. They're waiting for the all-time high to hit, and then they started selling a little bit. And that is the biggest, most dramatic movement here. But remember, next time, as I always say, billions are made in the bear. When the bear market comes, do not run away. It's far more important to be active in the bear than in the bull. Remember that, everybody. That's the most important thing I'll say today. Also, let's look at some addresses. This is the breakdown of the total addresses and how they've changed over time. Again, most impressive is krill going from 26 million to 48.4 million, nearly doubling in 5 years. Whereas the humpback whales, pretty stable. The whales, pretty stable. The sharks, pretty stable. The dolphins, absolutely stable. You can't make this stuff up. Octopus fish, stable. And then the crabs, they grew. The shrimp, they grew. And the krill, they grew a lot. But it's crazy. 2,000 addresses hold nearly all the Bitcoin. And the rest are just along as passengers. So let's look at one other thing too, is the average bag size, which I showed in a chart, but this is more visual here. If you are a shrimp, you have on average today 0.309 Bitcoin, and that used to be 0.32. The crabs have gone from 2.6 down to 2.5. Octopus fish, 32.3 to 31.7. The dolphins have grown their bag size from 253 to 285. Sharks, 2,400 to 2,400, pretty flat. The whales have grown their bag size too, from 22,000 to 24,000. The ETF probably has something to do with that too. And the humpback whales, 163,000 to 175. Considering you've got the marathons of the world, you've got the MicroStrategies and all the other players stacking more and more over time. Thank you, Vitruvian Maniac, for coming today. Now, average wealth in dollar terms today, based on the exact price of Bitcoin right now. By the way, I should check on the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin just tanked. Wow, we had a big, it's typical. We hit 61,200 today. Now it's 59.6. And the market manipulators are having a ball, going after your leverage longs, if you have any. Anyway, the average wealth by cohort today, if you are krill, you have $411 worth of Bitcoin. If you're a shrimp, that's a big bag now. That's $18,800, call it $19,000. A crab, on average, has $151,000 in Bitcoin. And an octopus fish, remember, the octopus is 10 to 50 and the fish is 50 to 100. They have, on average, $2 million worth of Bitcoin. Dolphins, $17.4 million. Sharks, $147 million. Whales, actually, it's very interesting. Look at that. Shark we're rounded to 147 million, and a whale is 1.47 billion. So it's 10x the size of the shark average bag size. That's interesting. And humpback, 10.7 billion, but there's only 4 of them. So don't be too envious of the humpback whale. They're very rare. Now, all our videos are summarized by a separate team. Big thank you to that team for doing that. 10 cents a copy, all the slides, all the data, podcasts, you name it, you can get it that way too. Thank you for people that support that team as well. Also, here are the key percentiles. This is interesting because just since I last did this, over the last 6 months, krill and shrimp grew from 7.1% to 7.3% of the Bitcoin supply. That's great. But they should have been growing their supply in the bear market. Not now. It's more expensive now. And yeah, so I showed you how the sharks are changing. Crab cohort grew to 10.8% of the supply too. And the octopus fish also grew to 22.1% of the Bitcoin supply. Top 10% of Bitcoin holders, the dolphin cohort, etc., occupying 90th to 99th percentile, hold 20.3% of the supply. Sharks and whales, the top 1%, hold an astonishing 40% of the supply. And the humpback whales, you think they're very important, but they only hold 3.56% of the supply. And remember as well, the dolphins, the sharks, and the whales control 69% on the nose pretty much. And remember, the net stackers are the krill so far this year. The krill, the shrimp, the octopus, the fish, and the dolphin cohorts have all increased their Bitcoin holdings since January 2020, making them net stackers. The folks that are not what I call net stackers are the sharks, the whales, and the humpback cohorts have either decreased or fluctuated without a net increase, meaning they are not net stackers during this period, but they do play funny games in the bear markets. That's what we need to watch. And another quick update to the title should be August 2024, by the way, but the math is correct in the table. If you want to be in the top 0.1% of Bitcoin holders, you need to invest $1.3 million today, which is a lot. To be in the top half of 1% of Bitcoin holders, it's $414,000. To be in the top 1%, it's $213,000. You need 3.5 Bitcoin. And to be in the top 5%, you need only 1.33 Bitcoin, which will cost you $8,000 today. In fact, a little bit less, because when I did this, Bitcoin price is at 60,400. So the table is now down a little bit. And for those who think, oh, by the way, we do have the survey here. I'm going to read out the survey results to everybody. And thank you for completing the survey. Of the audience watching now, 47% are crabs, 41% are shrimp. That is, I don't know why that happens. 41% are shrimp, 7% are octopus. That means 10 to 100 Bitcoin. Shrimp is 0.1 to 1. But the biggest cohort watching now today is the 1 to 10, which are the crabs. 47%, half of the audience. But we have 2% dolphins. And that's over 1,400 votes, ladies and gentlemen. 2% are dolphins. That means they have over 100 Bitcoin. They could even be whales. We could have Michael Saylor watching live. So that's super interesting. Thank you to the team for gathering that information. But there's more. There's always more. The good news, a lot of people think they're late to the Bitcoin party. No, there's now 52.973 million holders of Bitcoin. By the way, 6 months ago it was 49 million. Now it's gone up by nearly 4 million. And if you imagine, divided by 8 billion people on Earth, only 0.66% of the planet have a little Bitcoin. 99.4% of the planet do not have it. So if you think for a second you're late, you're not. Trust me. And if Bitcoin is evenly distributed to everybody in the world, I'll blow this up so you can see. There are now 19.746 trillion Satoshis in circulation. I hope I got that right. Let me see. Yes, not quadrillion, trillion. Assuming 8 billion people on Earth, there are 247,676 Satoshis per person, which is 0.0025 Bitcoin per person, which will cost you $149 today. And remember as well, I love this chart, is where we are in the evolution of Bitcoin, everybody. We're right there. It looks like a Nokia, pre-8840 Nokia. Where's CTO Larson? He could tell us exactly what phone that is. He's an Ericsson guy. But anyway, the point is we have a long way to go. We are, if you imagine innings, is that baseball or cricket or both? I don't know. We're on the 4th inning out of 24 innings. Actually, there might be 25 innings because I think Apple are coming out with a new phone, version 16 or something. Who knows? Thank you all for coming. Hope you like the show. And we're still early. And a quick reminder, by the way, let's show Kathy Wood her numbers one more time just to get us a little bit excited. 5.4 years to go. Actually, no, 5 years, 4 months to go, not 5.4 years. 5 years, 4 months to go till we are in 2030. The expected value by my calculation of these targets is 807,000. Bitcoin price as I speak is 59,600. That's a lot of upside. For those who have kids at home, calculate for me the return on investment. Drop it in a comment below. Give it as math homework exercise. ROI on 807,000 divided by 59,800. I will read every comment. Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoy the show. Thank you to mods in the chat. And take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.